Hello everyone, and welcome to my B&B Fan Club channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The words cut through the cathedral like an icy bullet. Each candle flame froze in mid-flicker. The organ note hung in the air, unfinished and dying. Liam's hand, which had been sliding the platinum band onto Steffi's shaking finger, came to a halt abruptly, causing the ring to fall to the marble floor and spin in wild circles, as if trying to avoid what was about to happen. Wyatt stood at the back of the aisle, chest heaving and his tie loosened as if he had been running for years. His eyes, the Spencer eyes, the same reckless blue as his father's, were bloodshot and wild. Rainwater poured from his hair onto the white runner placed for a bride who now appeared ghostly in her own gown. Steffi went first. The veil caught on her eyelashes and tore slightly. Wyatt. Her voice shattered on a single syllable, like glass shatters in slow motion. Hope appeared next, rising from the front pew so quickly that the roses in her lap scattered like spilled blood. "What have you just said?" she murmured, but the microphone on the groom's lapel picked it up, magnified it, and flung it against the vaulted ceiling, causing every guest to choke. Liam did not move. Couldn't. His face had turned the color of old ash. The ring continued to spin, albeit slowly, until it fell silent at his polished shoe. Wyatt moved one step forward, then another. The ushers did not stop him because they were too busy trying to remember how lungs worked. "He's your son Liam," Wyatt repeated quietly this time, but the words carried more weight than a roar. "My boy. Our boy. The one you didn't know existed because I was too afraid to tell you. Until today." Liam let out a sound that was part chuckle, part sob, and all ruin. He stared at Steffi, pleading with his eyes that this was a prank, a nightmare, a cruel joke from a sibling who had always been in his shadow. But Steffi was staring past him at Wyatt, and the truth was already cutting itself into her face. The priest closed the leather-bound book with a quiet thud that sounded like to a coffin lid. Hope reached Liam first. Her fingers pressed into his arm hard enough to cause a bruise. "Tell me he's lying," she asked. Liam opened his mouth. "Tell me right now." Nothing came out except for a strained breath that tasted like copper. Wyatt kept walking until he was 10 feet from the altar. Liam got close enough to notice the small scar over his brother's left brow, the one from when they were kids and Liam shoved him off the dirt bike because Wyatt kissed Katie Logan behind the guest house. Close enough to see the tremble in Wyatt's hands. "His name is William," Wyatt remarked, breaking the silence on a name they'd both joked about giving a kid one day. "Will. He is 4 years old. He's got your chin, Liam. And I can't sit still. And he questioned me last night why Uncle Liam never came to his birthday parties." Steffi made a wounded animal sound. She moved away, but the train of her dress caught on the altar steps and tore. The sound of couture shredding was obscene in the hush. "For years," Liam finally said. The word scraped his throat raw. "4 years ago, that night in Malibu, following the cabin explosion, when we believed Hope was dead," Wyatt said. "Yeah, we assumed she had died. And you were drowning, dude. You were drowning in sadness and whiskey, and I was right there. I was always there, picking up the pieces you had left behind. That night, you asked me to make it stop hurting. You begged me." Hope's hand fell from Liam's arm, as if it had been scorched. She glanced at the two brothers, the two men who had worn her engagement ring at different times, as if they were strangers with familiar faces. "You slept together," she stated plainly. "This is not a question." Liam could not look at her, could not look at anyone. His eyes was fixated on the stained glass window above the altar, which depicted St. Michael defeating the dragon with fire and judgment. "It was one night," Wyatt explained. "Just one dumb drunken night. We awoke hating ourselves. They hate each other. We pledged we'd carry it to the grave. 3 months later, the doctor diagnosed me as infertile due to a dirt bike accident. Liam, this is the one you triggered. And then there was this test result and a heartbeat on a screen, and I understood the universe has a terrible sense of humor." Steffi laughed sharply and hysterically, echoing off the stone walls. "So you allowed me to plan a wedding for my fiancé, who has a secret son with his brother. That's quite wealthy, Wyatt. Really top-tier Forrester drama," the visitors exclaimed. Phones were out. Someone in the back row had already live-streamed the entire event, By tonight, it would be trending globally. #SpencerBaby, #WeddingCrash, #BoldAndBeautiful. The hashtags speak for themselves. Bill Spencer stood from his seat, like a titan awakening. His face was purple from wrath and something darker, recognition perhaps. After all, he had established an empire based on secrecy. "You," he hissed, addressing Wyatt. "Did you keep my grandson from me?" Wyatt met his father's gaze without flinching. "I kept him safe. From all of this." Liam finally moved. He proceeded down the steps, past Steffi, who reached for him but missed, and past Hope, who refused to look at him anymore. He came to a stop just inches away from Wyatt. "Show me," he demanded hoarsely. "What?" "Photos. Now." Wyatt groped for his phone, shaking his hands. The lock screen already displayed a snapshot of a little child with disheveled brown hair and a gap-toothed grin, holding a Spencer blue plastic sailboat. Liam focused on it until his eyesight blurred. The likeness was undeniable. It was his mouth, his ears. The way the boy held his head while focusing was identical to how Liam did when fastening his shoes. "He likes boats," Wyatt stated softly. "Calls them daddy ships." I never corrected him. Liam's legs trembled. He would have fallen to the floor if Wyatt had not caught him. For one strange second, the brothers held each other up amid the rubble of a wedding, like they hadn't since they were toddlers vying for their father's attention. "I hate you," Liam said quietly into Wyatt's shoulder. "I know," Wyatt said quietly back. "I hate myself too." Steffi's voice pierced through the moment like a razor. "Get out. Both of you. Get out of my church." But Liam didn't listen. He was staring at the photo again, his thumb brushing over the screen as if he could reach through and touch the child he'd never met. "What does he like?" he asked, his voice cracking. "Does he know anything about me?" Wyatt swallowed hard. "I told him his other father lives far away. That he is a hero who saves others. We'll drew him pictures. Superheroes with ties for capes," Hope said, making a breaking sound behind them. When Liam turned around, she was crying quietly, mascara streaking down her cheeks like battle paint. "You were going to marry Steffi," she explained. "You were going to stand there and pledge forever while your son was outside calling someone else daddy. How could you not know?" "I didn't," Liam said helplessly. "Hope, I swear." "Don't." She raised a hand. Ridge Forrester eventually stood up. "Don't swear anything to me ever again." His face was stone. "Security," he said, his voice booming. "Remove these two from the premises." However, the security personnel hesitated. This was not simply theater, it was biblical. Cain and Abel wear Armani. Katie was crying freely now, recalling that long ago kiss behind the guest house and how Wyatt had always been the spare, never the heir. Brooke was holding Ridge's arm and whispering prayers or curses. It was difficult to tell. Liam took one last look at Steffi. "I'm sorry," he replied. "I didn't know." Steffi's smile was awful. "Isn't that the worst part? You didn't know. You never know until it's too late." She bent down, grabbed the falling ring and tossed it at his chest. It bounced off and rolled beneath a pew. "Go meet your son, Liam," she instructed. "Go become a father. Just don't ever come back here claiming you're a husband." Wyatt attempted to approach her, an old instinct to mend things, to smooth over the havoc he'd caused, but Steffi recoiled like he was poison. "You," she spat. "You don't get to comfort me. You don't get to do anything but disappear." The brothers stepped out together for the first time in years. The rain had ceased, but the steps remained slick. The cathedral doors closed behind them, echoing like gunshots. Wyatt's rusted Jeep sat next to Liam's immaculate Tesla in the parking lot. Two different lives, the same blood. Wyatt opened the passenger door. "He's with Dollar Bill's old nanny," he told me. "Mrs. Alvarez. She thinks I'm taking him up for a playdate." Liam looked at the car seat in the back. A plush giraffe was buckled in, sporting a little Spencer Media press badge that someone had attached to its neck as a joke. "He'll be scared of me," Liam explained. "Maybe," Wyatt replied. "But he's braver than both of us combined." They drove in quiet through Los Angeles traffic, unconcerned about broken promises or hidden children. The radio was playing a pop song about eternal love. Wyatt stabbed the button until it was silent. Halfway there, Liam spoke. "Why today?" Wyatt's knuckles turned white on the steering wheel. Because he inquired yesterday when his hero dad will be home. And I understood I could no longer lie. Not to him. Not about you. The nanny's cottage smelled like oatmeal cookies and crayons. Will was on the living room floor, constructing a Lego tower taller than himself. When the door opened, he looked up with his distinctive Spencer eyes. "Daddy!" he exclaimed, pushing himself at Wyatt's legs. Then he recognized Liam and stopped, his thumb moving to his mouth in the same way Liam's did when he was nervous. Wyatt kneeled down. "Will, buddy. This is your other dad." Will examined Liam with somber attention. Then he walked over with sticky fingers extended. "Do you have my boat?" he asked. Liam's laugh was a half-sob. "Not yet, kid. But I'll build you an entire fleet." Will contemplated this. Then he nodded emphatically and handed Liam a solitary red Lego. "For the sale," he clarified. "That was it. There's no drama." Without hesitation. Simply a 4-year-old's trust, freely given. Wyatt watched them from the doorway, arms wrapped about himself, as if he were about to fly apart. He shook his head as Mrs. Alvarez offered him coffee. "I don't deserve to stay," he admitted meekly. Liam glanced up from the Lego pile. "He's got your smile," he told Wyatt. "And my terrible taste in superheroes." Will giggled, the sound bright and real amid a day filled with sharp edges. Later, as the sun sank orange over the Pacific, the three of them sat on the bungalow's small porch, eating ice cream that dripped faster than they could lick. Will fell asleep between them, his head on Liam's leg and one fist wrapped into Wyatt's shirt. No man spoke. There was too much to say, yet no words were big enough. Eventually Liam broke the silence. "We're terrible at this family thing." Wyatt snorted a cry-worthy chuckle. "Yeah. Maybe we're finally doing it right." The first stars shone above them, chilly, distant and ancient. Witnesses to yet another Spencer disaster that, against all chances, may just become something worth saving. Back in the cathedral, Steffi stood alone in her ripped dress, gazing at the strewn roses. Hope sat on a pew and shredded a program into confetti. Neither woman sobbed anymore. Everyone yelled out. In the silence, the organ started playing again. Not the wedding march, but something slower. A funeral dirge for the lives they believed they were creating. Outside, the paparazzi cameras flashed like lightning. Inside, two women who had loved the same damaged man gradually began to pick up the pieces. And elsewhere in the city, a small kid dreamed of boats with two fathers piloting them through storms they hadn't seen coming. The bold and the beautiful had nothing on this. This was simply wonderful. Liam Spencer stood at the altar, hands clasped, smiling despite the nerves that often accompany a life-changing occasion. His bride, Hope Logan, looked stunning in ivory satin, her hair fixed in delicate curls, and her eyes were filled with both love and tears. Their families, Forrester, Logan, and Spencer, sat in eager suspense, phones covertly angled for shots and tissues ready for emotional outpouring. But then the door creaked open. Wyatt Spencer stood there, slightly breathless, his hair disordered from hurrying, and his face pallid as if he had seen a ghost. Everyone turned to face him. He didn't belong there, not now, not after what had occurred. Wyatt and Liam hadn't spoken in weeks, months if you included the awkward silences. There had been disputes over loyalty, love and legacy. But this interruption went beyond anyone's expectations. "Wyatt." Liam's voice was steady at first, but there was a noticeable trembling underneath it. "What are you doing?" Hope's lips parted. She hadn't seen him since the rehearsal dinner, when he stormed out after a nasty conversation with their father, Bill. The fact that Wyatt had returned, here now, on the day Liam and Hope were supposed to finally be at peace, felt like an omen. Wyatt moved a few steps forward, his gaze fixed on a woman standing in the back row, rather than Hope or Liam. Her cheeks became pale as soon as his glance reached her. It was Quinn Fuller, his mother. Her diamond necklace sparkled in the candlelight, glinting coldly across her skin, but her hands trembled as she grabbed the pew edge. "Wyatt," she said softly, hardly audible. "Please don't." He shot back. "Tell the truth. Do you think I can be quiet now? After everything?" The guests shifted uncomfortably. The quartet members looked at each other, undecided whether to pack up or wait. Bill Spencer stood slowly from his seat, his jaw tightening. Son, he began in a quiet voice that rang through the room like a warning. This isn't the time. Wyatt ignored him. His chest lifted and sank heavily as he returned his gaze to Liam, his eyes burning with something raw: anger, guilt, love, and fear all at once. I tried to keep away. I wanted to let you have this day, Liam. I actually did. But I can't keep it in anymore. I can't stand here and watch this wedding, while you don't even know what the truth is. Liam said, his tone stern, all the warmth in his gaze replaced by mistrust. Hope took a step back, holding her bouquet with shaky hands. Wyatt, if this is about me— It's not, Wyatt interrupted. This is not about you. It's about him. Wyatt's gaze shifted to the child sitting calmly near the aisle, barely more than 5 years old and dressed neatly in a small suit. The boy glanced up with big, innocent eyes, not understanding why everyone seemed to be holding their breath. Hope turned to the child's mother, a young woman seated next him, Allison, a distant relative of the Forresters who had attended the wedding under the guise of being a family friend. Allison froze as Wyatt's remarks began to pour out. He's your son, Liam, Wyatt eventually whispered, his words piercing through the room like a dagger. He's your son. The entire room let out gasps. Someone spilled a champagne glass, which broke like the moment itself. Liam stood frozen. His lips parted but no sound emerged. The words seemed to resonate in his thoughts, distorting reality itself. Hope glanced toward the tiny kid, her face as pale as a sheet. What are you talking about? Bill was already on his feet, and his voice was thundering. Wyatt, enough. You're not sure what you're saying. Yes, I do. Wyatt snapped. You knew, right? You all knew and withheld it from him. Quinn stood up, her voice shaking now. Wyatt, please stop before you destroy everything. Wyatt shook his head. Everything was already destroyed the moment you all decided to lie to him. Liam blinked quickly, as if attempting to awaken from a nightmare. This does not make sense. Allison and I barely— Do you think I don't know? Wyatt interrupted, his voice breaking. I did not want to believe it either. But Allison contacted me a month ago. She told me what occurred that night in Aspen when you thought Hope had abandoned you for good. You two drank, made errors, and she discovered she was pregnant. She tried to inform you, but Quinn got there first. Everyone looked at Quinn. Her breathing became irregular, and she appeared to be about to pass out. Liam's heartbeat thundered in his ears. Mom, please tell me that's not true. Quinn's lips trembled. I did what I felt was best. You were broken, Liam. You had just lost hope. Your life was falling apart, and you didn't need any more scandals. Allison agreed to be quiet. Everything. I handled it all. Wyatt repeated, his voice full of disbelief. You've paid her off, Mom. You paid her to disappear with his child, Hope said, putting her hand to her mouth. The bouquet slipped from her grasp and dropped silently to the floor. The boy, knowing something was awry, sought for Allison's hand. Mommy, he whispered. Liam's gaze shifted to Allison, who was quivering from the weight of so many stares. Is this true? He asked softly. Is he mine? Allison's eyes welled with tears. I tried telling you. I wrote letters and called, but your mother made it clear there would be consequences. I didn't want to ruin your life. She reached down and drew the boy closer. His name is Connor. The name struck Liam with a second wave of astonishment. He walked forward almost instinctively, his gaze fixed on the youngster. The likeness was undeniable, the same blue eyes, the same jaw shape. A youthful self-reflection.